Fabrizio Romano has said on his YouTube channel that Arsenal will be there in the conversation for Alexander Isak this summer. But Arsenal fans, I get it. We've heard this saga. We know that it's going to cost a significant amount of money, and Arsenal have been disappointing us in the window. Why would we get our hopes up? And Newcastle fans, if you are watching this, fair enough you are. Thank you for tuning into the Goonerverse. If you are, I get it. You've just won a trophy. There's a chance to get Champions League football, and the Newcastle project's really exciting, so why would you even join Arsenal? All of that I understand. But I do think that there is a Goonerverse in which Arsenal could sign Alexander Isak. See what I did there? You see what? Anyway. And that's what I want to explore in this video. That's what I want to talk about, is if very particular conditions are met, I think Arsenal could sign. It's not impossible, but I think there's a world in which it happens. Let's go through what Fabrizio Romano actually said, because aggregated here by AFC Stuff, Romano said on his YouTube channel that big, massive proposals will come to the table for Alexander Isak. Arsenal will be there. Liverpool are also there. But Arsenal is absolutely the top target. Sesko is the other name on the list. For Liverpool, he's one of the names they're considering. Now, there's a really good video done by Alex on the Different Knock, of course. I'm always telling you about his channel. You all know it anyway. It's brilliant, but go watch this one. It was titled Isak to Arsenal is Serious, and it was on the back of the discussion that he had with Paul Scholes on the overlap. And he talked about 3 particular conditions in which he felt that a deal was doable. And these were the 3 here. He said that Newcastle miss out on Champions League football. Totally agree. I think that has to happen for Isak to even feel like he potentially wants to move on to another chapter. Isak's going to have to push for Arsenal. And crucially said that Arsenal have to push for Isak. I agree with all of that. But I think what I would say is that video, fantastic video, honestly, please go watch. I'll put the link in the description below. Was looking at it from the perspective of just Arsenal getting the deal done for Isak, from the perspective of can that transfer be done? And I agree with every word that was said in that. But I want to look at this from a slightly different perspective. Let's assume all the conditions are met. Let's assume Arsenal actually do bring in Alexander Isak. And we're talking about £120 million signing, right? I don't think it's going to be any less than 110 million for sure. It'll be some sort of record in the Premier League. And I think no one would pay above 130. That feels like the range we're working on. So let's talk 120 million pounds. I'm going to add 3 more conditions that I think need to happen for Arsenal to get this player. But look at it from a squad building perspective, and actually from the perspective of not so much is it possible, but does it actually make sense for Arsenal when you consider everything they need to do? So here are my 3 other conditions. Firstly, that I think if Arsenal sign Isak, they're going to have to compromise on other signings. I have absolutely no doubt about this in my mind. They're going to have to compromise, whether it be on the level of player they get or actually the amount of players they get and how much of the squad they address in one window with Berta working with Arteta for the first time. I think the second thing is that it's probably going to amount, because every one of these conditions leads to another thing, right? I think it means another chance for squad players that we're probably done with and feeling like we want to move on from. I think if you sign Isak, some of them are going to have to play another season. And thirdly, that there's going to be a redefining of squad roles in that. Other players are going to have to fill in other parts of the squad, or we may have to reshuffle the pack for this all to make sense. Now, the reason I say all this is because I want to show you my priority targets. Now, I don't know what Arsenal's priority targets are, but I think a lot of you would agree with the way I've prioritised the players that I feel we need to add in this upcoming window, the order, but also some of the fees I've got. Now, I'm going to show you the graphic here, because what I've got here, if Isak arrives, is the priority should be a striker. We've got Isak in brackets at £120 million, and then with each next priority I've gone and added that fee to the last spend to show you how much and how quickly these transfer fees could be flying up. Because if you get an attacking midfield, which for me is right up there with signing a striker, okay, maybe one below, but the point is, I think we need to take some of the creative burden off Odegaard, because it's all on him right now. And of course, Saka outright, but I'm talking from midfield contribution. I think we need another creative player in there. And because that market is actually quite a poor one, Florian Wirtz, but then maybe a Morgan Gibbs-White, there's not that many. You're spending a lot of money. So let's say you go for a Wirtz for 90 million. You know, you could get a Morgan Gibbs-White for less, but again, we don't want to compromise massively on quality, and we said that we might have to. Then the next I've got is a left winger. That could be 60 million for a Williams, there's a release clause, but then you've got the wages. There's a Semenyo, then there's a whoever it might be, Ademola Lookman. you're talking significant money. We're now up to about £270 million spent. It's all rough, but you get the ballpark I'm working in, right? A defensive midfielder, supposedly, we really want to add. £50 million it would take to get Zubimendi. We're now at over £300 million spent. We definitely need a goalkeeper, and some would say we even need another left eight, another box-to-box type midfielder, because Marino's not cut it, and Rice's future may be in the six. So, when you look at that priority list, when you look at the fees we're potentially talking on, and I take you back to my list of key conditions, compromise on signings, again, whether it be quality or how many of them we get, because like I said, you could get all those positions, but maybe not the quality you need, and that's what Arsenal certainly need to focus on, is quality additions this summer. And if you are bringing some of those positions, but not all, you're probably going to have to redefine player roles and give another chance to certain squad players. So how does it all look on the tactical pad? Let's do it. We've got the Arsenal squad here currently. And the first thing I want to do is actually remove every player that I don't think... Basically, if we sold them, none of you would have a problem. I don't think anyone would be complaining about these players leaving. Hein, we know that he's going to want to play first team football. Neto, his contract's going to, well, his loan deal will end. Tomiyasu, injury prone. Kivior, maybe not quite up to the level. Zinchenko will have had 3 years. Kieran Tierney, contract expires. Vieira, for obvious reasons. Jorginho and Partey's contracts are expiring as well. They're not signing new ones as far as we're aware at the moment. Nelson and Sterling, again for obvious reasons. And then Trossard and Martinelli. Look, I think Trossard's been more productive than Martinelli in the last year and a half. Martinelli's probably still got the more potential. He's also got raw pace, something quite unique to that front three. So I'm thinking Trossard comes out. So let's say that those are all the players that I think if we sold them, we're happy to sell them. Basically because we don't think they're quite at the level we need to finally get over the line. We want to finally be ruthless. But look what you're left with. Look at how much work there is to do. Look how bare that squad is. And it shows you that if you don't do the business you need to do over all these summers, it will accumulate. We've talked about this before. So if I just go and highlight these areas of the pitch that therefore we're going to need to add to. We're going to need a backup goalkeeper. We're going to need backup centre-backs. I think a left-back you're probably covered. There's a lot to do in the sixth position. I certainly think we need another, Erdegaard, Waneri type profile, preferably a right footer. Then we're talking Saka. Then we're talking the striker, because we know that that's crucial, especially with Jesus out. And we're going to need a left winger too. And this goes then into my set of conditions. We're going to need to compromise, because we are not signing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're not signing 7, 8 players. Certainly not all to the calibre and level that we absolutely need to. So let's add Alexander Isak to this, because this video is all about exploring the only way that for me an Alexander Isak deal can happen realistically. So we take Isak, put him into that front three, £130 million probably. That's one position addressed. Now, we're already coming to the point of going, well, we need a backup goalkeeper, a couple centre-backs, a couple sixes, a creative midfielder, and maybe 2 wingers. Immediately, you go to those players we sold, and you're going, I might need another year out of some here. So let's go into them. Let's go find all these players again. I think Kivior, if the money's not right, I think Arsenal could easily... Where is he? I've lost Kivior. Bear with me 1 second. Here he is. I think Kivior could easily end up just staying another season. And Arsenal might just go, unless 35 million comes in for him, we'd rather just keep him for squad depth. I think there's every chance. A goalkeeper, I don't think there's anything you can do about that. And then we go to Tomiyasu, trying to find him. Here he is. I think Tomiyasu and Kivior will stay. I mean, part of the Tomiyasu thing is obviously because of the injury situation. He's not even back till into the next season. No one's probably going to sign him. So there we go. I also think you probably just keep someone like Zinchenko, because you probably look at it and go, all right, well, Zinchenko can play in cover in midfield. Left back, he offers something quite unique there too, although Lewis Skelly's kind of developed too. I think you probably just go, again, if we're not going to get £30 million for him, then for the sake of, if a £17 million deal comes in, you may as well just keep Zinchenko. He's not a bad footballer, he's a very good footballer. We've just kind of maybe evolved tactically away from what he offers. So yeah, that's an interesting one there. Then in midfield it gets fascinating, because I think we absolutely need the 10, but the 6 becomes interesting. Now, according to Hand of Ozil, Jorginho may well be staying at Arsenal, because Arteta's really trying to convince him despite Flamengo wanting him. So let's take Jorginho and put him there. That's one of the 6s. Let's say he's offered a new deal. I then think Ethan Waneri, and now we're talking about redefining roles, I think Ethan Waneri could easily be playing in that front three, covering for Saka, playing in midfield every now and again, but ultimately playing the front three. I think he's such a good finisher. He's got a great strike at goal. I think that's where you want him in the pitch. And now you're looking at this going, all right, with a few players staying in the squad, with redefining kind of Waneri's position, you're now looking at a goal, Isak coming in, that's one, a backup goalkeeper, 1 or 2 midfielders and another winger. So basically 5 signings in total. And that feels somewhat doable. But again, you're then looking at it going, are Arsenal going to do a DM and a 10 and a left winger as well as a striker? Because the fees we were talking about before are significant. And you're getting to £300 million mark. And I know we keep hearing about this unprecedented summer. But again, I'll struggle to believe it. We couldn't even do a January deal for a forward when things got desperate. So of course I'm a little bit reserved. So again, what's the only way in which this Isak deal can happen for me is if you compromise, and it goes back to those set of conditions again. That you redefine the positions of, say, a Waneri. You move Rice as a 6, maybe get Lewis Skelly playing as a midfielder or Zinchenko, but probably Lewis Skelly long term. I think he'd be brilliant in there. And you compromise. And now you're going, maybe the Zubimendi isn't the one to do because you've got Rice and Jorginho, because Lewis Skelly can play as a 6, because you could even move Timber or White there maybe. But maybe what you do is keep in a couple other players. The back four's been great for years. Why disrupt it too much? And go, all right, it's going to be a backup goalkeeper, Isak, a 10 and a left winger. Or you don't. Or you let Jorginho go, you do the Zubimendi deal, but you keep someone like, where is he? Here you go, Trossard. Because maybe someone like Trossard, Martinelli, maybe their levels are raised by having an Isak in the front three. Maybe with a creative midfielder and an Isak and a focal point and one of the best strikers in world football leading the line, maybe you get the best out of a Trossard and a Martinelli. Maybe they've got more to give and you're better off getting Zubimendi because he's such a class midfielder and quite clearly Arsenal are close to that. But bringing it all back full circle, if Arsenal want to do the Isak deal, if Newcastle don't get Champions League football, if he pushes for the move to Arsenal, if Arsenal pay up the money, I think they still need to consider everything they want to do in the squad and where they're going to have to compromise and where they're going to have to go, well, these bits aren't doable, but it's worth it because we've got Isak. And maybe it is worth it. I've got no problem with Isak, a 10, Zubimendi and a goalkeeper. That'd be an amazing summer. But it still feel like you've got certain players in the squad, like Kivior, like Zinchenko, like Trossard, that a lot of people have been saying this season, we need to be ruthless, we're done with these guys. Maybe we need to hope that these other signings, less than perhaps we need for a full squad overhaul, are going to help raise the level of those that we know are good players. But are they great players? Are they good enough? That's what we'll find out. So it's a big summer for Arteta and Berta. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Isak for 130 million, would you do it? And do you agree with my theory that's going to come with compromise, despite it being a seriously, seriously massive deal if Arsenal could pull it off?